I think that is so true because we can buy things that we think we're going to love. It won't love us back.
Yeah.
Right? Right. I remember there was this joke online where this person said that, oh, I love chicken, and they eat a lot of chicken every day, right? And then someone asked them, what does chicken love you? And they're like, no, I guess not, right? But it's interesting how we always, or a lot of us, look for outside factors. So I guess let's start from the beginning. How did you get involved in wanting to help people find self-love and why?
Well, through my own journey with going through child abuse and mental health challenges, there was a long period of time where I just didn't really love myself. Like I was 15 and I was looking in my bathroom mirror, just kind of disgusted at the person I'd become because I was getting into arguments with people all the time. I was repeating a lot of the most hurtful things that people have said to me back to myself. And up until the age of 11, I didn't have friends because I was always that kid nobody wanted to really be around. And that puts you into a mental space where you start to feel like nobody cares about you and nobody wants to be around you. And even though I had people who care, like my mom, therapist, friends, when I got older, you believe that you don't have that. And eventually there just comes a breaking point where you realize that I am stuck with me. When I die, I'm going in my casket by myself. Yeah, there's going to be people at the funeral and they're going to be crying and they're going to be throwing flowers and all that and they're going to at your funeral, you're the best person ever. Nobody says anything bad at your funeral. But you don't get to hear it because you're dead. And you have to just find that love inside of yourself because you're going to be the only one in your casket. And throughout your life, I've seen so many people who didn't love themselves, and understandably, but unfortunately, they've resorted to things like drugs and substance abuse and like over sexualization to try and get this love somehow outside of them rather than acknowledging what has led me to not love myself.
When you mention like the sexualization and the drugs, there's someone that I had a conversation with maybe a couple of months ago, and she struggled with self-love. And what she did, she had therapy and she went to coaches. It was to the point, Lawrence, where after each session, she was already scheduling someone to have sex with in the parking lot there, in the motel there, because she needed any type of love, even if it was 5 minutes, 10 minutes. She just needed something right then and there. And I realized of a how much chaos it can bring to people's lives who are pursuing it in all these different areas that you just described. How do you think then maybe we can identify the type of love we need to help us along to avoid such pitfalls?
Well, it's hard, it's a very simple question that people have to ask themselves, but it's also really hard to listen to the answer. What was the love I didn't have as a child? And that's going to start bringing up things like your mom wasn't there, your dad wasn't there, aunts and uncles was touching on you, and all these things. It's going to bring all that up. And you have to look at that and go, okay, that's what I went through. But what love did I need? I needed somebody to say, I care about you. I needed somebody to play with me. I needed somebody to be there, like to show up to your sports games or to tell you that you're fun to be around. I needed somebody to tell me that I'm worthy and that I'm lovable. And, like you just said, the most easy way for someone to get a fake version of that is sex. Like, I find you attractive. I want to spend time with you. I want to give you affection. But it's a fake version of it. but sometimes it's so painful that you'll do anything to get something because it hurts less than not having the fake thing. It's like with drug addiction, everyone knows that heroin is bad for you. It's a universally known thing. Everybody knows heroin is terrible for you. It messes up your skin, your teeth start falling out. We all know it's bad. And we'll look at somebody who's doing it and start to see them as the addiction rather than take a step back and go, that person is hurting so much that this is what they resorted to. Maybe it's because they had a headache, doctor gave them some pills, one thing led to another. Or it's, I'm just hurting so bad inside that this needle takes the pain away for a couple hours. I know it's not good for me. And I'm quite sure if you ask your friend, she will tell you flat out, I know these men are not good for me. I know they mean me no well. I know they really don't care. But it feels less painful than to not have that. So the question that people can ask themselves is, what love did I need as a child? And what ways am I trying to get a fake version of it? And once you have the answer, you have to take the step necessary, and that's going to be different for everyone.
Do you then think it's difficult for people to go back in time, review what they didn't get as a child, and then identify how it shows up in the type of love that they're lacking as adults?
It's incredibly painful. Like, because I've done it where I had to sit down and ask myself about why was it that I was trying to, like, I used to date people who I knew for a fact had deep insecurities. The reason why I would do that was because their insecurities would cause them to be like overly affectionate towards me, like very clingy, which is a very unhealthy thing. But from my perspective at the time, it was this person is giving me the kind of love I wish I got as a child. And when you get honest and you go back in time and review, you're going to have those moments where you notice, hey, I'm not as good of a person as I thought I was. I've done things that have hurt people in the process of me trying to numb myself. And you can't run from the answer. You're going to want to try and say, "Oh no, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not like that. I would never try and numb myself. I would never try and distract myself from my problem. I'm not an addict. I'm not this." But the truth is, you are what you are. And once you have seen the things that you're doing that are the result of the love you didn't have as a child, and you have to now figure out, well, what do I need? The first step I would say, figure out what you don't want. Do you want to stay in relationships where these people are only using you for your body or for your money or for your attention or for your validation? Do you want that? No, I don't want that. So now, by process of elimination, you figure out what you do want. I want somebody who doesn't beat me. Okay, now you know what you want. I want somebody who doesn't just use me for what I can provide, whether that providing be sexual, financial, or anything of that sort. So it's painful, but on the other side of the pain that we're avoiding is the life we want.
I remember sometimes people think that it's like an even exchange, right? Like the girl gives a guy sex and the guy would give the girl money, right? Like that's the oldest profession in the
Yeah,
world, essentially, right? And I think we type of, in a way, in 2025 and 2026, we kind of made it look sexy, right? In a sense that,
yeah,
right, like girls want, they want the guy with the six figures, and men want, they want the girl with the small waist, the big butt, and the big breast, right? And you made a good point where we're missing the character of the person, and you mentioned it. What is it that you don't want? Okay, Trin. Okay, Lawrence. I don't want someone that beats me. I don't want someone that uses me. I don't want someone talks down to me. All right, so get the opposite of that. But I think sometimes what happens, and I'll get your comments on this, is we're so determined to stick to our preference. The three sixes, 6 feet, 6 inches, six figures. 23 years old, she hasn't had more than two sexual partners, and she weighs 110 pounds, right? Do you then think sometimes people get caught up in their preference, and because it's so rigid, it becomes a prison and they can't find the type of love that they need?
You brought up some really good points right there. So I'm going to go in order of these. So the first thing that just really jumped out to me that you said is us getting wrapped up in our preferences. So people have what's comfortable, like this is what I'm familiar with, and this is what I say I want. Like here's what I say I want, here's what I'm familiar with. If what you're familiar with is people hurting you, people beating, people cheating, people manipulating and taking advantage of you. You're familiar with this, but you want this. Now, let's say you right now decide, okay, the people I've been dealing with, I don't want that. I'm going to go to what I do want. Now, you just go from what you're familiar with to what you're comfortable with. You're not going, well, what you're familiar with and what you want. If you jump from that overnight, you're going to destroy what you want. Because if you spent the last 10 years, 5 years, however long, being cheated on, and you go to somebody who's not a cheater, like for an undeniable fact, they're not cheating, you're going to think they are because deep down, part of you is familiar with